Before we commence today's video, let us start with a prayer. O primordial one, a progenitor god hailing from beyond the stars, we thank you for allowing the Fatui to exist, if only for the purpose of letting us watch them fall. Much like a capybara with AIDS, this has been kinda sad, but kinda hilarious to watch. For those unaware, when a capybara has AIDS, they have a tendency to start doing backflips, so, you know, it's sad because they have AIDS, but funny because they start doing backflips, much like the Fatui's downfall. So, God bless you, Fanes, in the United States of Celestia, baby. So, the Fatui Harbingers. You know, if much like myself, you were there all those years ago when the Lazo trailer came out, you remember the sentiment around the community. It was one filled to the brim with hype unlike any other, you know. People looked at the captain and thought, oh my god, he looks amazing. Some even thought he was the rank 10, which, you know, they thought Polonia was actually the 7th ranking Harbinger, and the girl was the puppet. And, you know, the end of the trailer encapsulated the hype, you know. Showed the Harbingers united in their loyalty to the tsarista, bowing their head as they, you know, get ready to exact her will. You know, it's a strong front. That's what it looks like, you know, forcing us, the player, to come to the realization that, oof, we've a long road ahead of us. Look at all these potential competitors we're going to have to deal with. Bright future, people thought this group would have. I remember an old leak regarding the captain, something along the lines of him saying, check this out, you won't believe this, each age has borne witness to warriors. I have defeated them up. Now, me personally, as I make this video, I have no skin in the game. You know, no biases, nada. Some may accuse me of biases, such as showing favoritism, but, you know, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I call everything in my videos neutral and down the middle. So when people accuse me of being a Celestia apologist, it's nonsensical. That statement doesn't even begin to make sense. It's like saying I'm biased towards the number 4 when you ask me what 2 plus 2 is. Now, as someone with no torch to bear in this fight, rest assured my reaction to the Snezhnaya animation was as authentic as they come, and it was quite simple. This is some bullshit, but, you know, maybe not for the reasons you think. To start, look here. What do you see? To me, it looks like 4 friends having a fun slumber party. Everyone's in pajamas, you know, Columbina's sort of just dolphin diving on a Sandrone's bed back there and initiating a pillow fight, and given the earlier dialogue, this isn't the first time something like this has occurred, at least as it pertains to the dynamic trio of Arlecchino and Sandrone and Columbina.
How about some company? I'm fine.
Perhaps just a cup of tea then.
And some treats to go with it?
Rosaline? You?
What can I say? I ran into these two and got dragged along.
Regarding Columbina specifically, we know she longed for moments like this to belong and be seen as something other than the moon goddess. Quote, though Sandrone's tone was always impatience, there was a recognition, and it's a silent acknowledgement that this was who she really was. Columbina felt joy at being seen in this way. Part of the reason Columbina loves Sandrone so is because Sandrone didn't treat Columbina as the moon goddess, but rather, you know, just some fucking annoying bitch who won't stop singing and nagging her. And Columbina loved that, and Sandrone wasn't alone in this regard. Arlecchino also treated Columbina as a friend, which makes sense considering Sandrone and Arlecchino were right there to help Columbina get used to this new world. And presumably another person who treated Columbina well was Rosaline, or Senora. To her, this was her family she'd been longing for, a place where she could belong without an ulterior motive. After all, she left the Frostmoon Scions 500 years ago because them needy fucks wouldn't stop begging her for shit. So some wonder then, why was it if she was looking for a family and found this family in the Fatui, Columbina would leave the Fatui because she wanted a family.
But Tsaritsa was right. Freedom always comes with a price. She said I could treat the Fatui as a second family, a second home. But in the end, they were no different. All they wanted in truth was my power as the moon goddess.
I must admit, I'm a bit confused by this take, because it seems like people are forgetting the Fatui isn't a monolith, you know. What we're seeing here is quite literally one sliver of Columbina's experiences with the Fatui, with the other part of her experiences lacking, well, the animation, so you don't exactly see them, but we know about them, right? Like dottore bringing her in repeatedly to study Kuvaki, or hell, the entire purpose of her being in the Fatui is just the tsarista wanting her powers as the moon goddess. I mean, look, at least the Frost Moon Scions tried to, like, play around this fact as in, hey, moon goddess, we're giving you stuff, we love you, so you owe us shit. With the tsarista, it was just, you get the fuck over here, you bitch! We need your powers! So yes, while the Fatui gave her happy memories, they were also the very thing she was running from, so she left. It's like this, imagine you go to prison, and in your pod you got some of the dopest motherfuckers you done ever met. After your time's done, are you still gonna stay in the prison? Fuck no, you know, the Fatui as a whole was antithetical to who she was and what she wanted to be, and besides, in what way does her leaving the Fatui mean she can't hang out with the, like, 3 friends she made from the Fatui? The answer is there is no way, because the 3 of them did exactly that after Columbina left the Fatui. I mean, she's just leaving the bad and keeping the good. I don't really see how that's contradictory. Further, just look at the other half of the Fatui's reaction when Columbina left. It wasn't, oh man, our family member's gone, what the hell, we gotta go look for him caringly. It was, where the fuck's our power source? This whole argument was a weird point I kept seeing. But with that said, you know, Columbina's off the hook, sure, but whoa, where are you going, Arlecchino? We got some questions for you. Like this, for instance, you know, this voice line about Sandrone.
I have little interest in her. She's extremely passionate about her research and does not appear in public often.
A little interest, right, looks like it's a me. Mind you, this tea party is before the start of the game. Signora has yet to even go to Mondstadt. Simplest answer for this discrepancy, writers changed their minds and, you know, made Arlecchino and Sandrone close. Call it a retcon, call it whatever the fuck you want, but, you know, what you shouldn't call it. And what I keep seeing is people chalking this up to Arlecchino being an unreliable narrator. The same words used to describe Child and Wanderer for their about voice lines on Columbina, and let's just, you know, put a pin in this right here, because a character being wrong is not automatically unreliable narration. Because I don't know what's going on here, but it feels like people forget unreliable narration is a very specific, you know, literary tool used to create a gap between how events are portrayed and what we, the audience, are meant to eventually understand. Usually, in unreliable narrator, you know, they're lying, they're biased, their view on the world is distorted, but it always serves a purpose, which is to allow us, the audience, to eventually recontextualize the false information after we know it's false. And also, you know, people forget unreliable narrators have a very specific reason for why they're unreliable. I'd imagine for the vast majority of us, our experience with unreliable narrators is limited to The Catcher in the Rye and Fight Club, in which both characters aren't just randomly wrong, but they're wrong for a reason. Holden Caulfield was a fucking crybaby-ass bitch 16-year-old who was an emotionally charged wreck, and we come to understand the world through his broken lens, one filled with fucking trauma from his little brother dying and the moral grandstanding which made him unreliable. He was too quick to pass judgment on people. Meanwhile, in Fight Club, Edward Norton's character quite literally has dissociative identity disorder. What I'm trying to say is, both these guys are unreliable for reasons inside the character design. So, you know, an otherwise sound character being wrong about something does not suddenly make them an unreliable narrator. Now, perhaps the reality we came to understand through Arlecchino's eyes was warped, and she lied when she said she has little interest in Sandrone. But why? Can anyone tell me why she would do that? Lie about her closest to her? She didn't lie about how close she was to Signora. She told us the truth then. She didn't even mention a relationship with Columbina despite them being good friends. Why couldn't she do that with Sandrone? Why just randomly muddy the waters instead of just leaving it out? Why couldn't she do the same with Sandrone? I'm meant to believe she, for some reason, instead of just leaving it out like she did with Columbina, chose to lie to us about her relationship with Sandrone. What's the reason? Did she think we wouldn't find out? And even if we did, we were gonna... Why? She's a spy? Is that the reason? And spies lie? But that does nothing to help explain why all her other accounts of the other Harbingers are accurate, except this one about Sandrone. Because, you know, again, the simple and most likely answer is the writers changed their fucking mind. And, you know, it is what it is. It's the same thing with Child and Wanderer describing Columbina and the same sort of dangerous manner that matches a little with the Columbina we came to know.
The Fatui Harbingers are ranked by strength, and I have no idea why that girl is number 3. I'd test my skills with every Harbinger who ranks above me if I had the chance. But when it comes to her, something just doesn't feel right. Anyway, you should be careful around her.
Let me ask. What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation? If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
People chalk this up to them being unreliable narrators as it pertains to this one specific fact about this one character, ignoring all their other lines are accurate, especially about Sandrone. So why this mishap on just Columbina? Now let me remind you, unreliable narration typically has some sort of predictive power. It isn't just the narrator being wrong randomly. Yet here, both Child and Wanderer are wrong randomly in the exact same way. They describe the same character who doesn't really sound like the Columbina we know, despite the fact that Child was brought along to Sandrone's tea parties with the captain and most certainly saw her having a good time. And now, why is this the case? Well, for one, it is just their perspective. It's not like the narrator's voice is some omniscient, third-party voice. The voice describing Columbina from Child's perspective is he's a young guy, he's a fighting maniac, that's all he cares about, he's obsessed with it. And the other, in Wanderer, is a sort of cynical, detached member of the Fatui, describing Columbina through his own lens. Now again, why they would describe Columbina a bit off, but not the other Harbingers, is probably because, say it with me boys, the writers changed their fucking minds. Krai wasn't even a concept when these voice lines were written, and given Columbina would later become the central figure to Krai, her role in that regard no doubt changed, and honestly, it is what it is, man. Shit happens. I don't know why people would get upset over the writers not having the interpersonal relations of certain characters planned years in advance when there are quite literally hundreds of relationships to consider. I'd hardly even call this a retcon. That word feels too harsh. For an honest attempt by the writers to polish the story and present it in the best way they can, to tear this down seems petty, immature, and childish. Now, with that said, good thing this happened with that ragtag bunch of bitches we couldn't care less about the Fatui. Ah, damn, motherfucker, to try this retconning bullshit with Celestia! Writers' experimentation done. Glad we washed our hands with it. Now let's walk into the future with Celestia!